Welcome to another episode of It's Not Just Football, because it's not just football. Over here we talk about matters that happen on the pitch and how it influences us off the pitch. I'm your host, Marcky, and welcome to the show. Today's episode, I actually want to talk about local and international football, the comparisons between the two, but not only on how they play on the pitch and comparing the styles of play, but how it has an effect on people in general. But before we get started, I just want to vent a bit. Over this past few weeks, there's a certain ref that has been trending and training for the wrong reasons, as usual. Michael Oliver, man of the match performance in the Merseyside derby. Round of applause for you. What a crappy game that he had. Nah, fuck you, Michael. I mean, with these teams that I support, you've had horrendous decisions that you've made. And in that Merseyside derby, he did terrible, terrible, terrible. There's no words to explain how bad he performed. I mean, there were decisions that were not supposed to be given. I mean, Njai got a foul awarded to him, and we didn't even touch him, and that led to a goal. Mo Salah was fouled towards the end of the game, and he wasn't awarded a foul for that. So you know what, man, Michael Oliver, terrible decisions that he made. He gave Slot a red card for what he says was an aggressive handshake. I mean, like, that rings a bell because a few years ago when we played Liverpool, when we played Manchester City, I remember Guardiola giving Michael Oliver an aggressive handshake, but guess what? He wasn't booked for that. In another instance, there was a game, I think it was Tottenham against Chelsea. Antonio Conte and Tuchel both gave each other an aggressive handshake. So now, if Oliver can give a red card for an aggressive handshake, then he could have booked Tuchel and Conte for an aggressive handshake. But, he did it. There's another bad decision that he gave, in my opinion, when when we were playing against Real Madrid a few years ago. Benatia challenged from behind, but he kicked the ball onto the player that was coming in for a header, and Oliver gave it a penalty. And at the end of all that commotion, he gave Buffon a red card. So Oliver, I don't rate him. I don't know why he's still a ref. He's very sketchy with his decisions. So yeah, Tuchel. I mean, not Tuchel. I mean, Oliver, terrible. I don't like you. I can get flagged for this, but I don't like you, Tuchel. But I just want to give a proper round of applause to Curtis Jones for standing up for Liverpool. The stuff that Decore did after the game. I mean, how can you celebrate that much for a draw as if you've won the cup or you've won the league? That's why Virgil van Dijk said that, this is Everton's cup finals. But yeah, anyways, enough of the venting. Let's get into the show. And like I said, today's show, I'm talking about the comparisons between local and international football. And what is it that you say I am comparing? I'm comparing the thing of, like, watching football on the telly and watching it live. The comparisons is it's very big when you think about watching it at the stadium. When you tune into an international match, whether you tune into a Brazilian match, an Argentinian match, European, you see that the stadiums are relatively full, full to capacity. Compared to here in South Africa, it's not as full. I mean, I was watching football yesterday. The stadiums were full enough, but it's not as appealing when you tune into a match and you see that the stadium is not maximum capacity. Um, I've always said that the reason to why it is like that is because in South Africa, people support the three big teams, which are, you know, your Kaiser Chiefs, your Orlando Pirates, and your Mamelodi Sundowns. And people tend to only pitch up for those three teams, you know, whereas when you see like I don't know, in Argentina, River Plate playing against Boca Juniors or whatever, okay, those are big teams. Sorry for that comparison. But when you see, like in England, maybe like Brighton playing against, let's say, Crystal Palace, the stadium will be full. And, I don't want to blame the thing of, well, the tickets are different prices. I mean, comparing the two countries, I mean, the price of a ticket in South Africa is round about like from 60, maybe even 40 bucks to 100 bucks for a normal sitting area. Like that's standard price, which is fairly affordable. To the expensive seats, expensive tickets start from like 300 bucks, 300 rand upwards. So now, like, I did my research and I saw that for a normal ticket in the UK, it's about like 60 pounds. And when you convert that to rands, I think that's like 1,000 rand. Like, yo, that's expensive. I'm not about to pay that much for just a normal ticket. But we would say yes, our tickets here in South Africa are cheap, relatively cheap, but we're forgetting the other aspect to it. Yes, they're affordable, they're cheap, but what we shouldn't forget, compared to Europe, for example, is that we are a third world country, whereas Europe is a first world country. People have um, funds in Europe. Here, not everyone is working. So the unemployment rate here for the youth is like at a 30%, whereas I'm sure in a first world country like England or Italy or something, the unemployment is not as high as it is over here. And that has an effect. That's why people normally just save up for the Soweto derbies, or when I mean not Swallows, when Sundowns is playing against the two big Soweto teams. So that's the difference. And I think that's something that people should take into consideration. I think the other thing is, personally, I feel as if people are afraid of also going to the stadiums. Why I say that is because you find that it's people that are not even attending the football matches that are committing these petty crimes, like, snatching your wallet, snatching your bags, try breaking into your car. These are people that are not even at the match watching the matches, So, yeah, people are afraid. And I think that's what causes people not to go to the stadium. And that's why when you tune into a local match, the stadiums aren't really as full. I hope things can change, especially with, you know, having the funds to go and watch, because it's cheap. Go and watch. And compared to like rugby in our country, it's also a very big sport, and a lot of people go and watch it, and the tickets are also the same prices. So you would know why it's much more full at a rugby game compared to football, and that's because the demographics are different between, let's be honest, blacks and whites. So in our country, black people watch football, white people watch rugby. But yeah, that's a story for another time. Um, yeah, another thing with the comparison between the two um, types of football internationally and locally. Internationally, they are quite entertaining. That's why we always watch the Premier League, the Serie A, La Liga, because they are relatively entertaining. The pace of everything is different compared to here in South Africa, where the pace is a bit slow. And I saw that the top goal scorer in South Africa is sitting at around 8 goals for the season, whereas the number 10 in England is at 10 goals. So you see, the standards is different. I think we also just tried to um, play too much into how the Europeans do things. So that has affected the style of play here in South Africa. I mean, we are very flair or showing off with skills in South Africa. You know, we like that thing. And players have stopped doing it over the past few years. And, you know, it's no longer that entertaining for me, you know. But, you know, I still have the team that I do support here locally. It's just that they know where to be found. I mean, they've taken their status. But anyways, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about with the comparisons between the two, international and local. I also feel as if the thing of supporting your local team and filling the stadiums up would actually have an influence on how full the stadium gets. Like, let's say you are from uh, Pretoria, support the team in Pretoria. And then when you go to the stadium, you'll see that it will be maximum capacity. So, yeah, the fact that people here stay in a different province but support the two Soweto teams and the big team in Pretoria, which is Sundowns. So, you know, it's a thing of, well, people are only pitching up to the stadiums for those three teams. And that affects, you know, the amount of people that go to the stadiums. So yeah, that's the difference. I really hope that it can change in that aspect. You know, the more younger the generation is, the more they are actually interested in, you know, supporting their local team. Um, yeah, that's actually what I wanted to talk about. I hope I have made some good points for you South African viewers that are watching. If there are any international viewers, yeah, tell me what can be done differently in the comments. So yeah, just to close it off, I want to close it off with a closing quote, a quote from a very good player. He's actually one of my favorite players in Africa, a legend, DJ Drogba. He said that football is more than just a game. You know, football brings hope and it brings joy to people. So you see the fact that whatever happens on the pitch, it has an effect on people who are not even professional footballers, people that are just genuinely watching. And yeah, that is it. So yeah, that was the episode of It's Not Just Football. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content if you did like it. See you next time if it isn't next time. Salute.